I can only imagine. The anime only watchers are losing their freaking minds. Let's get into it. Everybody, what is going on? It's me, Captain Vibes. Today we are live action. You already know what it is. Here to bring you this review of Bleach episode 10 titled The Battle. Man, sometimes I wish I could hear or see the reactions of the anime only watchers, because I think back to when I first read this in the manga and I was mind blown, and I'm pretty sure all of the other Bleach fans, you were mind blown as well. But this episode, this moment in Bleach, it was just like an emotional roller coaster, because this was a very emotional fight. Normally when we think of fights in anime series, we think of just the epicness, how hyped something could be, how flashy this could be. But when you have good cinematics and revelations and things of that nature all within the fight, it just makes it that much more better. Because in my opinion, while yes, the extra footage between Bach and Ichigo was very good, very, very good, I will never get tired of it. Looking back at it, I'm like, damn, this fight, even if you take out the extra footage they implemented into this fight, it was better than that short period of time when Ichigo fought Bach, in my opinion. Because yes, these two characters, Kenpachi and Unohana, yes, I do like both of them, especially Kenpachi, you know, Jiraki, and yes, I like Bach and Ichigo. But the history behind Bach and Ichigo, while it is very, very, very important, some will argue more important than Kenpachi and Unohana, it seems like it was more emotional with Kenpachi and Unohana, and it was just completely justifiable. Not to discredit anything, you know, Ichigo and Bach had going on in terms of their, you know, quote unquote history. But I knew it, they added extra footage within the Kenpachi and Unohana fight. But the main thing I was looking out for, I was like, please tell me they're gonna give an explanation of Unohana's Bankai. Because for all you anime only watchers, if you go back and watch this fight in the manga, there was no explanation of her Bankai. But I can appreciate that, because we know the typical, you know, staple or cliche in a lot of anime series, especially shonen, you know, they show their ability or go Bankai or do a new technique and their opponent will look puzzled, and then they will go on and give an explanation. Like that bullcrap that happened with Rose. Rose could have had that, but he went on to give an explanation, and then his ass got a star right in his chest. I mean, it's crazy. So I love the fact that Unohana, she like, nah, I'm about to go Bankai, you know, and I'm not going to tell you anything. You're just going to have to overcome it. I believe Jackie says something similar to Ichigo during the Fullbring arc, and I loved it. I really did. However, some people don't like that because it leaves the audience, you know, the readers, in the dark. Like, okay, we see what's happening, but we don't really understand it, especially when it seemed kind of just, you know, vague. I mean, you see her with the blood and the slime and everything, and upon reading it for the first time, I'm like, okay, what does it do? And there were a lot of readers that were confused when you seen Kenpachi's flesh melt away, you seen the skeleton. Some people actually thought that her Bankai was doing it, like it was this acid just rotting away, and that wasn't the case. To me, that wasn't the case. Yes, I know she was killing him and healing him, killing him and healing him. Some people took that as, damn, that's like acid. It's melting away, and she's just restoring it that quick. Nah, if that's the case, she would have been able to heal Byakuya. You know, remember they told Unohana, like, nah, your Hito killing, your keto healing isn't that great. I mean, if she can heal Kenpachi from a skeleton back to life, come on now, easy, she could heal Byakuya. So that's how you know it was just a symbolic, you know, illusion for the readers that Kenpachi, you know, he was regaining that emotion again. The shackles were getting released. That's what that was. So on Unohana's Bankai, unfortunately, we didn't see, you know, the command release. She just said Bankai and then the name. You know, normally how it's Roar Zabimaru, or Bankai, he heals Zabimaru, or Bankai, scatter Zenbon Zakura Kakiyoshi, you know, things like that. We didn't see that with Unohana, and I like the extra angles. You know, she gripped her Zanpakuto, blood just overflowing through the fingers. She just cutting her hand. You see the blood, the sludge. And not only that, I love the fact that when she did it, you seen blood coming from the top, just a whole pool and pools of blood, and it actually changed the lighting. I thought that was sweet. But again, I'm just loving this fight, man. Just elegant, brutal, bloody, savage, ruthless, everything. Just the way the robes were flowing, the hair, the psycho facial expressions, and it's just one of those things where you actually got to see, since they extended this a little bit, you actually got a little bit of understanding on how her Bunkai actually works. So, let me know if you caught this. It seems like, yes, it's similar to Zenbun Zakura. I'm not saying she's controlling the blood with her mind, but it seems like her blood can act as a defense and an offense. The same way Byakuya can use Zenbun Zakura as an offense and a defense, because yes, she can still use her Zanpakuto, and then there's the slashes of blood, and then with Kenpachi striking, the blood can, you know, act as a barrier or a defense. I do like that. But when she got cut, when Kenpachi cut her, it cuts to Kenpachi, and you see blood comes at him. And then it shows, you know, the blood, it heals, you know, her cut heals. So not only does it seem like it's an automatic healing factor, now, correct me if I'm wrong, did the blood come out of that wound, or was it just the blood from the ground that went to attack Kenpachi, or did she just swing real fast off camera and it attacked Kenpachi? Let me know down below. But it seemed like, you know, and I think this would be cool, you know, anytime she gets cut, the blood, it could just attack as well. But the amount of slashes, she was taking at Kenpachi, it was just, I mean, I'm not surprised she could swing that fast, but yes, it was a mixture of the blood slashes as well as her slashing. But I just love the way it looked, man. And it seemed like, did Kenpachi flash step or damn near flash step? We all know Kenpachi doesn't care about Kido. He never really flash stepped. Now, remember in the movie, I believe, Memories of Nobody, the very first Bleach movie. Now, I know, yes, it's not really canon, but it seemed like Kenpachi had a flash step. He fought that one guy, you know, throwing the little bladed shurikens, whatnot, actually strong enough to actually cut Kenpachi and draw some blood. But when Kenpachi deflected him and grabbed him, it seemed like the guy backed up and Kenpachi was already there. He bumped into Kenpachi. So it made it look like Kenpachi, yes, can move very fast. And even in the fillers, there were times when he was fighting Byakuya. Again, I know it's filler. And yes, he was able to block some of the slashes from Byakuya and to dodge or deflect or parry strikes from Byakuya. That says a lot. But moving back to the canon, even though, yes, him moving like that wasn't in the manga, it was still believable, especially how he was just in the moment, in that fight, enjoying it. The shackles were just getting released just momentarily, little by little by little. So it did make sense, but it was just good to see that. And in the manga, I swear, unless I don't remember, all that blood, it seemed like it wasn't on the floor. When Kenpachi fell on the ground, you see he got up, all of this was covered in blood, half his face was covered in blood. In the manga, it looked like he just fell on the ground. You know, looked like he just scraped his face and whatnot. But he was taking some hits, man. Kenpachi, he got hit up against the wall, fell down. And they were just going at it, and I loved it. But I really like the fact that they captured the feel. To me, the emotion was captured better in the anime than how it was in the manga. Yes, it was still emotional and impactful and just jaw-dropping and mind-blowing in the manga, but this, they delivered. You know, shout out to the animators, the director who did this whole fight. Just hats off to them. They did an excellent job. I was very pleased. I wasn't let down at all. It exceeded my expectations, and this is just one of my favorite fights and moments throughout all of Bleach, because again, this fight, it had layers to it. It wasn't just something like, you know, Rose, I used to give her to fight, yeah. But this right here, way more impactful. And it's unfortunate and sad that, you know, Unohana, man, rest in peace, had to die for the sake of Kenpachi, you know, to release his shackles and, you know, to protect Soul Society, because, yeah, they like, you know what, we need Kenpachi to have his training, you know, go all out. We need his training finished. But I noticed he didn't use Kendo. Yeah, he went in already with the eye patch off. He didn't use Kendo, to my knowledge. Correct me if I'm wrong. He didn't use Kendo. Maybe he didn't want to off rip in the fight that fast, you know. But it's crazy how just this whole time, Unohana is just this beast, the most feared and greatest throughout all Soul Society, and it makes you wonder, even throughout the fillers in the movies, how much she really could have been a help if she would have just went back to the old Kenpachi mode instead of just staying the new humble Unohana mode. Now, yes, during this war, she was instructed to stay Squad 4 Bears, because she's the healer. And I find that ironic because her Shikai, that one-eyed green stingray thing, it has healing properties, but that's not really in her nature. That's the funny thing about it. But her Bunkai, it seems like it has no connection to her Shikai at all. But then again, maybe the healing is in her, maybe it is in her character because of the fact that while Kenpachi, they explained it, he puts on an eye patch, doesn't want to do kendo. He likes to put the shackles on to extend the fights, to enjoy the battles. But with Unohana, she learned healing, so that way she can extend the fights, things like that. They both had their reasons, but they went about it in different ways. So I guess the healing of her Shikai kind of makes sense. I don't know, but oh man, I just loved it. And when Kenpachi did the final blow, man, that she was leaking. Leaking a lot. And I like the flashback. They captured the flashback just perfectly. And you seen the amount of bodies. The amount of bodies was bigger in the anime, and it made sense. And I like how they kept it in there. How, yes, you see the, I believe, the 10th Kenpachi, how he met Kenpachi Zaraki. You seen Yuichiro on his shoulder. And I know it's filler, but Ichizone, I remember in the Bout arc, it showed the flashback. He was talking to Tosin, and while Kenpachi Zaraki was fighting the 10th Kenpachi, like, damn, why does it have to be like this? And, Kenpachi killed, the 10th Kenpachi. And that used to be Ichizone's captain. I thought that was pretty cool, even though, it's filler, but, Ichizone is filler, but what happened was actually canon. But it makes me wonder, when that Kenpachi seen Zaraki, I guess he said, you know what? I'm gonna remember this. I'm gonna join the Serite. I'm gonna become a Soul Reaper, and I'm gonna kill your ass. I guess when he found out how all the squads were, 11? I like Squad 11. Let me join here. How do I become the captain? I want to fight the strong. Okay, bet. So I think that's how it happened. I don't think he killed Kenpachi right there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe he did. Maybe he did kill him. I know he took him down in one strike. So he said if he dropped him right there in the Rukon district, out in the fields of Soul Society, that left a vacancy in Squad 11. So then maybe that's when Kenpachi joined the Serite, became the Shinigami, and bam, became captain of Squad 11. Now the voice of Kenpachi's Zanpakuto. Now yes, it seemed a little echoey and muffled and clouded and whatnot. When I was hearing it, I said, I wonder if it's gonna be the same voice as Yuichiro. And maybe I should go back and look at some old episodes of Bleach with the Japanese Raw and listen out for it and see if it's the same. But I'm pretty sure it will be in the future. But yeah, finally heard the voice, etc., etc. And they did it backwards. So, and this was cool. Some people don't like this. We start out with the Unohana and Kenpachi fight, then it moved on to Ichigo, Renji, and Oetsu. Believe it or not, there were people complaining about that. I read some comments, people saying, on social media, oh man, it shouldn't have ended with Ichigo and Renji and Oetsu. It should have ended with Kenpachi Unohana. That was more impactful. It was more sad. It seemed like it just went from serious to silly. But you have to remember, yes, while the Unohana Kenpachi fight was very relevant, it was a big jaw dropper, one of the most biggest revelations in all of Bleach. Excuse me. You have to understand that Unohana and Kenpachi, they're not the main characters. They're not. While yes, there are, some will argue, way more interesting characters than Ichigo. Characters with way more richer, interesting backgrounds than Ichigo. But at the end of the day, he is the main character. Their revelations wasn't that big. It was big, but it wasn't that big. At the end of the day, they're still just regular Shinigamis with a past. Ichigo, he's just a mixture of everything. So it's a little bit more they have to go in depth with in terms of Ichigo. So I didn't have no problem with it. And the way they captured, man, them meeting Oetsu. Now, let me know down below. Am I tripping? But when they first got there, the speaker, that song playing, like you heard the guitar solo. It sounded so familiar. I'm like, was that one of the intros or one of the previous Bleach outros or intros? I swear it sounds so familiar. I could be wrong. But again, they had to capture the silly element within this because, it's part of Oetsu's nature. I understand his director, he liked to take a lot of the silliness out, but it actually worked perfectly. And I liked it, man. Just the colors, the lights, just the whole environment, they nailed it. He is my favorite Squad Zero member. He's one of my favorite Bleach characters. The creator of the Zanpakuto, and this guy, he is no joke. Uematsu is no joke. And I noticed what they kept out. I noticed they kept this out. Actually, they changed it. When you seen all those Zanpakutos, you know, the female Zanpakutos, that's when Ichigo said, oh, in the anime, he said, oh, don't be fooled by it. You know, it's probably just an illusion or something. In the manga, he said, like, don't be fooled by it. They're probably guys or something. I thought that was funny. But nowadays, oh, you say that. Motivators are triggered. Cancel culture. Shame this, shame that. So I kind of see why they changed that. But again, I guess that's why some people always say they prefer the manga over the anime, because some say the manga just tells it like it is. Anyway, the explanation, the pacing of this whole moment, it was just perfect. It wasn't confusing. It wasn't cluttered. It wasn't chaotic. Perfect angles. I was fine with the Aosochi, you know, being CGI. I actually forgot about how that was 3 days. They were in there for 3 days, man. That's why I love that type of stuff when I see it in Bleach, you know, characters getting stronger. Like, they were down there going hand to hand for 3 days. I love that. You know, I get it. Some people, some of the DC and Marvel fans, like, oh, please, Wolverine fought Juggernaut for 3 weeks, or, you know, something like that. But still, that's pretty impressive, you know. And, you know, Renji, he sucks at keto, so it's not like he was doing all this keto and whatnot. He was just giving him hands, and Ichigo, of course, he failed. But I do love just the whole symbolic nature, how you cannot treat your Zanpakuto just like a tool. You have to, it's part of you. You have to be one with it. And it can sense, know, hear, and tell if you're just using it just as a weapon. It's more than that. That's one of the things I love about Bleach. I love the Jinsen, the meditation, the inner world, how you have to really respect your Zanpakuto. If this shiznit was real, man, I'll be so hella strong, man. My connection with my Zanpakuto will be hella strong. I promise you. And I love when Uematsu took Zabimaru and Tensei Zangetsu, bam, just destroyed him. And again, with Ichigo, I like how he said, I don't make swords for scrubs or nobodies, or and I especially love when he said fake soul reapers, because that's technically what Ichigo is. I mean, shout out to Ichigo. I guess he, you know, like you said, he got that far without Aosochi, and that says a lot, you know. And Ichigo, he had to understand that, so he's like, nah, that's why they didn't select you. You don't understand. You have to go back to your roots, start from scratch, reinvent yourself. I love that. I love it because you see so many series characters just, okay, let me just train, or let me get stronger. Let me train with an old monk or something from the mountains or the hills. I get that, that's cool. Or let me get some kind of modifications or enhancements. But to start from scratch, to be broken down and built right back up, especially having that understanding, I just love that. I really do. And now, this is the thing. So yeah, real quick, that the little moments with Kon, that was funny, especially when Uematsu was talking to Kon, you know, holding and whatnot, and how he acknowledged him, like, Ichigo, Renji, strange stuffed animal. I did think that was funny. But the after credits, so many people didn't know about the after credits. So we see Ichigo is back down in front of the Kurosaki Clinic, and hey, we all know what's going to happen from here. But for the anime only watchers, oh, there's going to be more revelations ahead. And yes, I heard about the news. I believe after Christmas is going to be a 1 hour special, 2 episodes into one. I can't wait for that. So the review may be that much more longer. Unless you guys want me to split it up. So let me know down below if you want me to split it up or do one big review all in one. But yeah, I feel like I'm missing something. I probably am, probably not. I'll still put it in here if I did. But as a matter of fact, I did forget to mention something. Now, when Uematsu was talking to Ichigo and Renji about the Zanpakuto, I noticed in the manga, yes, you actually seen the Zanpakuto as just a regular Zanpakuto. But in the anime, it actually looked like just a regular katana without the wrist guard. So it made me think of Hibiki's sword. You know, she's from Last Blade 2. I used to play with her on the Capcom vs. SNK 2. Anyway, I thought that was interesting how it looked like that. And then once they implemented their soul onto the Zanpakuto, then it looks like the regular basic Zanpakuto that we come to know and learn. Also, another thing I noticed when Unohana was fighting Kenpachi, how the blood looked like it was just encrusted on her Zanpakuto. It reminded me of this katana off of Bloodborne that I loved. You know, I believe you stab yourself and your blood is on that katana, and it increases the damage and acts as a second weapon. So I thought that was very interesting. So yeah, at least 10 out of 10 episode for me. You had the good pacing, the comedy, the fighting, the action, the revelations, the emotions, everything, the quality. Again, I've seen the particles, man, in the air, the lighting, the shadows, the contrast. It was just perfect. How and why are we still nitpicking and bitching and moaning and complaining this far into the Bleach anime? Like, come on now. Even the little tiny nitpicky flaws that I see, it's just so irrelevant. It's not even worth mentioning. Like, so what, man? Like, we finally have Bleach, and it's going good. I cannot wait until the next season, season 2 of the final arc. I cannot wait, and I know they're working hard at it, and shout out to them. But yeah, that's about it, Elites. Give me your thoughts, comments, and concerns. But before I go, a lot of you probably didn't notice, but yes, there is something a little bit different about my backdrop. That is right, Elites. This little motivator came in the mail from the Funko Winter Convention of 2022. We have Ulquiorra, the Funko, yes, to add to my Funko Pop collection of Bleach.
分からせてやろう。知らぬなら教えてやる。これが真の絶望の姿だ。終わりだ。よく見ておけ。力の差を教えてやる。セロオスキュラス。